All right, Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. This has been a long time coming, to say the least. I think we first tried to do this, 4 or 5 weeks ago at this point?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I had
now we have
some hiccups.
finally linked up, or as you Californians like to say, synced up.
Yes,
Right? Isn't that a saying?
it
Let's sync
is.
up on the call sometime soon. Like
We
time's not
hella
a thing
synced up.
out here, bro. Let's just sync up when we can.
Yeah, yeah, in passing. All right.
So,
Well, we're excited to have you on the show. And just to kind of kick things off, give us a little bit of background, how you came into this whole meditation scene, which is kind of certainly spurred on more popularity the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I first attempted it as a teenager, had no interest in it. And then in my freshman, sophomore year of college, after some health issues, I was suggested or recommended going to yoga and meditation and fell in love with yoga first. Wasn't so much into meditation or the chanting portion of yoga, but the more research I did and into my early 20s, I realized how beneficial it was to my health and well-being, and especially as an athlete, just how wonderful it was before a competition, because I experienced anxiety and a lot of negative energy in times of distress. So that's how I first began meditation.
You said that you kind of turned to it when you were a teenager. Was that, it didn't stick? Was it because you weren't really sure how to go about it, or it just kind of felt weird, or like, what was that process like?
Yeah, I thought it felt weird. I was like, this is not for me. I could
Sitting
not
quiet in the
train.
corner wasn't like
No, yeah, I mean,
talking?
I was a very energetic child, like very energetic, and could not sit still. And that followed me into my teen years. And I remember going with a girlfriend, and we actually got kicked out of the yoga class because during Shavasana, we could not stop giggling. And
ooh,
like when you
geez.
have that giggle attack with friends, and then it gets worse once you hear them, giggle.
Jake
But
and
it
I
was
giggled at Beakram one day. We weren't welcome back either. So.
yeah, no, it
That
happens.
was because the guy behind me showed up in like a G string, I thought it was okay.
Oh man,
Anyway,
I've been to one of
digress.
those yoga
Sorry.
classes. No. Yeah, so it just wasn't for me. I couldn't sit still. I didn't identify with like the body scanning. I thought it
The
was
woo
kind
woo,
of woo woo, as you
right? The
put
woo
it.
woo.
Yes, the woo woo. It was just too foreign to me, and I did not see the benefit. So I was kind of turned off by it at first.
Yeah, I was telling Josh even before this, I was telling my dad today that, yeah, we're staying a little later tonight doing a podcast. And he's like, oh, who are you interviewing? So, she's a personal trainer, also does some meditation stuff, some guided meditation for people. And I think we're going to talk a lot about that. And he's like, oh, so you're going to get hypnotized, huh? I was like, well, I'm not so sure that's how it works, Dad. But that just led me to believe, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about meditation.
Mhm.
So, just what are some of those that you can highlight for people that maybe is keeping them back from even trying it?
Oh, I think some folks just think it's all about um, putting yourself in a state of mind that's too chill, that like
Yeah.
you can't keep your competitive aid at your edge if you're like too relaxed. Um, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about it too, that um, bad things might happen. Like I think I've had a gal come up to me at one of my presentations that she was very nervous to like close her eyes, and she said meditation was just not for her because she couldn't lie down and close her eyes. Like most folks think that meditation is closing your eyes and chanting, which is so not true. You can do it actively. You can do it in nature. You could do it with your eyes open. You can do it walking. There are just so many forms of meditation. So if one doesn't work for you, there are other ways to implement mindfulness.
Yeah, we'd love to dive into those a little later for sure, and like pull out some of those, key strategies people can kind of deploy in their day to day life, right? And We'll have to, the light just fell. Josh's light just fell on me. Sorry, Josh, continue.
That explains the good lighting. Why you guys look
Yeah.
so. All right, the Hollywood magic over there in Texas, huh?
That's right. Just go ahead and stand it back up, bud.
There we go.
So we can obviously edit that piece if we need to.
No, it's fine. It's raw.
So I was just saying, love to dive into that a little later and pull out some of those tactics that people can kind of implement in their day to day. But when you decided to kind of turn back to meditation, because there are various forms, right? Transcendental. I can't name them all. I'm sure you can, but if you could highlight a couple, and then maybe which one, was your choice and why?
Yeah. So my absolute favorite form of meditation is metta, METTA meditation. And that just helps you find love and compassion for yourself and for others. I grew up as like a super angry child and held on to like a lot of negative energy in my body. And it just made me actually really sick. And at 17, I had a diagnosis of several autoimmune diseases of the liver and spleen. And in Chinese medicine, the liver is correlated to anger. And so that's why I stumbled across into meditation, metta meditation. I was like, okay, I need to give this a crack and see if this is healthy for me. And that's the one I felt most natural practicing on a day-to-day basis. And it didn't take much time. And I noticed a transition with like my energy and my health and my well-being. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then other forms of meditation that I supplement in my own life, and then those that I train is like forest bathing. And it's just basically taking in nature. So it's something I would love to maybe guide you guys through and your listeners through, as it's just easy to do anywhere, whether inside or outside, and has been shown to really improve your brain and mental well-being.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe expand on some of those a little bit. So like when you're doing meditation, what are some actual pieces of that? I mean, how if you were to describe to someone how I'm going to go and perform a meditation, what would I need to do?
You would just need to be present. So you would just need to cultivate presence. You don't need anything. You could do it in a chair, standing up, on a lunch hour, in bed, in the shower. It's really up to the individual's practice. But all you would need to do is have an open mind, right? So when I was a teenager and I first experienced this, I didn't have an open mind. I kind of just wrote off meditation as woo-woo, as we explained it. And I wrote it off as just not for me. So just having an open mind and being willing to show compassion for yourself and others would be the key for this specific love and kindness meditation.
Interesting. So it sounds like the way you're viewing meditation, and maybe this is actually what meditation is, and I'm just ignorant to the fact, but when you think of meditation, you think, okay, I'm going to go sit down or lay down or whatever it is. This is a set time and a set practice that I'm going to do. But you're saying it's basically just how you live your life. It's almost like with the first yogi said that, I mean, yoga is basically, it's not just like a practice with a set end time and everything, but it's how you live your life. It's everything. Yoga is everything. Is that right?
That's how I view meditation.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how I see it. I do see
Very
it a day to day, but I don't think you're being ignorant. I think some folks do want that app that times them and guides them through a very specific breathing technique, while others practice it a different way.
Yeah, very cool.
Do you recommend or teach like a little bit of both? I mean, because from personal experience, I like to meditate for 10 to 20 minutes in the morning. It's like, that's my time, to kind of prepare myself for the day. And the days that it doesn't happen, there's a distinct, kind of at the end of the day, if I reanalyze or analyze the day, there's a distinct difference on the days that I do. And even the length, if I'm closer to 20 minutes, it's like, man, there's a strong correlation between meditation and how I perform, how I feel during the day versus when I don't. And then obviously, I mean, even think like you touched on there, like breathing in the car at a stoplight, right? Or taking deep breaths and trying to be present while you're on the sidewalk.
Well, when you say you feel better, what are some tangible things you say? Like, are you physically feeling better, mentally more clear, like more at peace?
I'm definitely more at peace, and I'm much less. I wouldn't say that I'm a reactionary person, but I'm much less reactionary, even more so on the days that I meditate. It's almost like I just have a filter, you know? And so
you need it.
The first book I read on meditation, I started meditating maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then the first book I read on it was Dan Harris's 10% Happier.
Yeah, that's a good book.
It's an awesome book for, like, we've recommended it before. Highly recommend for anybody that wants like a different take on meditation from someone who totally didn't believe in it, went down the, like, said he was going to really research this. And I think the title of the book is so simple, but very profound, because it kind of is that. It's like, may not be life-changing or some incredible experience, but 10% happier is a heck of a lot better than where you are now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like how I could sum up like my day. It probably is 10% happier on the days I meditate.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's great. To answer your question, Josh, yes, I do a blend of both. And being in Northern California, specifically personal training folks in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco area, like, they're just like, nope, not going to do meditation. Like, I don't have time, like, too busy, too much to do. Can't sit still. So it's a blend of both. There are those who want it like, okay, I want 5 to 10 minutes. And then there are other people that I train who are in remission from cancer, or just are incredibly interested in strengthening their brain due to, like, aneurysms or tumors. And those are the folks that it's like, okay, let's do 30 minutes of movement and 30 minutes of guided meditation and breath work. So I do a little bit of both, but that's kind of what led me to my sweet spot of the podcast, where it's like 6 to 8 minutes of guided meditation, because studies have shown that you need at least 5 minutes of guided meditation to really see the change in the brain circuitry and the calming in the nervous system. So at least 5 minutes is recommended from what I've read.
It's kind of like people when, like, they're so busy. Everyone's busy. We hate the word busy, but it's like 5 minutes. You can't afford not to do it. You know, it's kind of like taking care of yourself. Like, you can't afford not to spend that 5 minutes, because that 5 minutes is going to radically change the rest of your day and your week if you practice it. You know, like in the moment, it may feel like, oh my God, my kid's crying, I've got to get to work, this deadline, right? But like, that 5 minutes can have such a profound impact that, like, you can't afford not to do it sometimes.
Yeah, I forgot where we heard it from, but somebody once said, like, if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, you probably need 4 hours.
Solid, right?
You know, now whenever you bring this up to your clients, do you meet much resistance when you bring it to them, or are they pretty open-minded to it?
I would say it's about 75% open to it, 25% where I am constantly reminding them how, like, all the benefits, and just telling them, like, oh man, like, how much sleep did you get last night? And they're, because a client of mine is a fantastic athlete, but he really suffers with his sleep. And I'm always telling him, like, maybe 5-10 minutes of meditation before bed versus checking your emails and getting back to people, like, perhaps, in the long run, it's going to make you healthier, make you a better athlete, and make you more productive. And so when I put it that way, he's like, yeah. But he's still pretty resistant to meditation.
Do you find that more people, even with the growing popularity of meditation, because you also do personal training and coaching, nutrition, stuff like that, so do you find that more people are coming to you for coaching on the meditation side, or is it more of like you're kind of getting from personal training to, hey, you really need to look at this meditation thing? Is it?
It's now moving from personal training to, like, wellness coaching. So during our training sessions, we're doing, like, positive self-talk. And sometimes, when I go into people's homes or offices, it's a range of emotion. Sometimes they're, like, really excited to work out, and other days, like, stuff hit the fan and they're just, like, in a million places. And so I have to not think so much about like the weight training, but kind of refocusing their energy and making them relax before we even start doing our personal training session. So it's been a blend of both, but I don't think anyone, aside from the presentations that I recently did in a high school, it was meditation based. It's always either like nutrition, like I want to lose weight, I want to train for this marathon, or I need to improve my fitness. So it's kind of led from personal training into wellness coaching.
Very cool. I like it. And it's not like, one is without the other, basically. It's all interrelated, which I think is very cool. So let's talk more about this forest bathing.
Forest bathing, yes.
Yeah, you're telling me I don't need a forest.
No, you don't. You don't need a forest. Although nature is just like super healing. But yeah, Shinrin-yoku forest bathing has been around for centuries. And basically, it's just walking in nature or walking in a park or just taking it to your backyard and taking in the atmosphere. So forest bathing is taking in the atmosphere. And so you just keep your eyes open and you gaze into nature, taking notice of that, whether there's sunlight or clouds or the greenery around you and the birds and things of that nature. And then taking a step forward. So like once you're outside, and if you're in a soft area like grass, I would even recommend doing this barefoot so that you can feel the texture. But you take a step forward and you stay present, and could be crunching of leaves or softness of grass or trail beneath you, but kind of taking in that texture under the foot and then slowing down the breath. So breathing in the air, noticing how it feels moving in through the nose, how it feels exit leaving the body, and then kind of moving into your other senses, like what do your surroundings look like, feel like, and then what do they smell like? And so it just helps you cultivate more presence and relax the nervous system. And, some folks have told me, well, I can't get outside during my lunch hour. Can I benefit from this? And studies have shown that you can also look online, although I don't recommend this, but looking online at photos of beaches or nature and putting on like soothing sounds of like the waves or the trees or things like that. So you can still benefit without necessarily being outside. But I would say if you have the opportunity to get outside to a park or any type of area that makes you feel a sense of calm, that forest bathing can be done from 5 minutes to 45 minutes if you have the time. And unplugging is really key. So trying to disengage from social media and your phone and emails for that short period of time and just really taking in the atmosphere.
Yeah, the root of all evil, social media.
Do you want to walk us through a little guided meditation here?
Sure. Well, since we're not in nature, would you want to do maybe like a body scan? So listeners could do this and you all can do this just where you are at this moment.
Here in Texas, we say y'all, Katie.
Y'all. I say y'all a lot. People always ask me, are you from Texas? I said, no, I just listen to Brene Brown a lot. She says y'all.
Nice. All right, well, we are ready if you are.
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, so when you're ready, try and find an upright seated position. So not too stiff, but have some integrity in your posture. And then place your hands face up on your thighs. So separate the palms, relax the shoulders, and close your eyes. Good. Allow your eyes to close and roll back and then down. Allow the space between your eyebrows to relax and your mouth to open just enough to fit a straw. Relax the shoulders down from the ears and soften the torso. And when you feel ready, begin to scan your body, starting at your toes, moving up to the crown of your head. And let all the breath go. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And take a deep breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. And continue to take long, steady breaths in through the nose and longer exhales out through the nose. And as you breathe in, bring attention to your torso and chest rising, and chest and torso moving up and down. Feeling the support of the ground or the chair, the mat beneath you. And with your eyes closed, just slowly bring your attention to that breath and that heartbeat. Feeling gratitude for the oxygen moving through the heart, the lungs, mind. And then gently bring your attention back to the present moment. And when you feel ready, begin to move your toes, your fingers, your eyebrows, and gently open your eyes.
All right, I've been hypnotized.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah, if you're listening to this in your car right now, I hope you did not close your eyes. You're still with us, but yeah, that was great.
That was very cool. What I noticed when I started meditating, I'm very bad about it. I'm very spotty. But when I get on streaks, is
You used
what I
to be on
noticed.
a long streak. What was your longest streak? It was long.
It was pretty good because I'm very much one of these people, like I'm a checklist type person. And so the Calm app had something like where every time you opened it, it was like, okay, you're on a streak of X many days in a row, whatever. It was getting up there. I mean, I say getting up there. It was over 100 days, 120,
That's a
something
lot
like
of
that.
days in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
It is.
it's a lot. And now the Bible app actually rolled that out too. So now I'm just like my Bible and quiet times turned into a checklist item now too. So whatever, it's what it is.
So
But
your morning routines turned into a to-do list itself.
I just got to keep my streak going. Exactly.
Yeah,
But what I noticed when I was meditating a lot, and people would tell me this, and I'd hear it in podcasts, that meditation is really like a muscle. Like you can train it, you get better at it. And that's definitely something I'd notice. Like the first few times I do it, it's very hard to turn off that frontal cortex and just disassociate, and just turn those thoughts off. But after a while of doing it, I mean, you can get into it and like get into basically like a flow state within the first 30 seconds to a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys notice the same thing, but I thought that was kind of cool.
If it has been even a couple of days, I noticed that first session back is a bit of a struggle to refocus, let that thought go and kind of refocus in the moment. But almost after, 1 or 2 back, and it's a good, 7-10 days in a row again. Yeah, you definitely get into this where it becomes natural almost, and you look forward to that moment. And yeah, you can call upon it if you are driving in the car,
Mm-hmm.
if you need a break at your desk or whatever it really is, to like just even just taking a deep breath for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like think about that. Like in your day, if you just gave yourself a minute to take a couple deep breaths, connect with your breath. There was one guided So I've used the Stop, Breathe, and Think app for a long time. And there's one in there that it's about coming back to the breath, and which is a lot of meditation, obviously, but it talks about the breath. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it's something essentially that's the common denominator, you know? And it's very easy to forget that it's just such an autonomous thing that we all do, you know, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the best part about it. Like, you don't need any equipment. You don't need to bring anything with you to meditate. You can, I mean, your breath is with you from your first breath on earth and your last breath on earth. And I like to remind people of that. Like, we take our breath for granted. And a lot of times we can get like anxious and overwhelmed. And it's like, okay, just like the app, stop and think, and then just take a moment to breathe. So like letting all the breath go and then taking a longer breath in and trying to take in as much air as possible, holding it for a couple seconds, pulling in more air, and then slowing the exhale just naturally calms your nervous system and ignites that parasympathetic nervous system that's, triggered in fight or flight when we're overwhelmed. And so it is just like you said, just the breath itself is a meditation. Mm-hmm.
Something that I always wanted to do was go through the process of coming up with my own mantra during meditation. I always thought that'd be really cool. And I hear people like Tim Ferriss talk about transcendental meditation, going to these like 2 or 3 week long fasted retreats where they give them a mantra through whatever psychedelic process, whatever it might be. Now, have you ever done anything like that, or gone through a process at least where you come up with your own mantra, or do you have any tips to where we could do that? Because you're now my go-to meditation expert. So
that's sweet. No, I definitely do have my own my own mantra, and I think that's why it kind of led me to my business name, which is Radiate. I was listening to like a lot of Need to Breathe music, and it was all about like radiate and light and love. And so my personal mantra when I was experiencing like depression and insomnia and anxiety in college, I would just like remind myself, like, you are love, you are light, you are love, you are light. And then in my first one of my first yoga certifications, it was yoga for special needs children in New York City. I studied with Sonia Sumar, and she led this beautiful meditation about being love and being light. And I was like, oh man, this is like really hitting home. And so it's has stayed my mantra. And then, my business, my small personal training business, wellness coach, it's Radiate with Kate, because it's like when you have that like love and lightness about you, it's like you radiate, right? You just like radiate joy and happiness and health. And so that's my personal mantra. But I know for different forms of meditation, specifically metta meditation, which we haven't practiced together yet, but maybe we can get to. That's self-love and kindness for yourself and others. And Sharon Salzberg guides you through, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. And that one is everywhere. You find that in so many different apps, and guided meditation is may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. So I think a lot of folks resonate with that type of mantra.
And technically, what is a mantra?
I think it's, in my opinion, a mantra is like a daily reminder of what you stand for. Almost like a manifesto, like a personal manifesto of who you are, or what you want to cultivate more of in your life.
Is this a saying or word group of words that on which you meditate? Like, are you thinking of these words, kind of oming these words during a meditation process, or are these just more like, like a daily reminder, like you said?
I think for my mantra, it's a daily reminder. I definitely don't chant or om these words.
But you're looking for a chant, Jake, right? You're looking for a
I thought that's
chant.
what it was, but I prefaced that I'm very ignorant on this. I just open up the Calm app and do what it tells me.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of different ways to go about
Yeah, I thought people
having
came up
a
with like
daily
a it's like a
mantra.
5-word mantra, that they have that like radically changed their life. So I thought you were gonna give me like
Yeah, that they speak to
a
themselves,
seven
right?
point
Like during meditation.
7-step process where I could come up with my own mantra, and I just take the world by storm after that.
I think that should be your next blog. You could talk
Sounds
about
like a
that.
painful process
I
to
think it
figure
sounds
out.
like your next blog, the 7 steps to creating your own mantra.
I like that. I think that's
Yeah,
great. I think
you'll
everyone
post it on
needs
We'll
250.
to.
co-host it. Yeah.
That sounds good. I like that project. No, sorry, then I totally misunderstood the question.
No, no,
But
that's great. This is great.
but no, I think everyone needs a mantra. Everyone needs to remind themselves daily, just like how like kick-ass they are, because we totally naturally just listen to that negative self-talk or believe,
Mhm.
we're our hardest critics. So I think if everyone had a daily mantra that kind of, shook off that self-critic, the world would be a better place.
But it sounds like it's going to take a lot of self reflection to come to a mantra. Is that right? It sounds like it took you a little while. It's like a process, and I just
Yeah.
don't know if I'm down with the process.
Sounds like you're going to have to go on a retreat. Is what it
Sounds
sounds like.
painful. Give me the retreat. I'll get it over with. I'll have a mantra.
Take the
I like it.
psychedelics, just
Yeah.
figure it out, But Kate, earlier you touched on some of your clients, piqued my interest. You mentioned they might have like brain disease or some other health issues. Have you seen much work with like kind of meditating and visualizing, say, just for instance, new tissue growth, new synapses firing? Because I think there's a lot of power in that, and meditating on that, focusing on that, and believing that, and then visualizing it, almost even as something as simple as tweaking your ankle, right? Rolling your ankle and breathing into that place, imagining restoration there. Could you highlight maybe some of the stuff you've seen with your clients or elsewhere?
Yeah, I work with two individuals separately, and one suffered with an aneurysm and the other brain tumor. And specifically, the client with the brain tumor, I don't go with her to these scans, but we speak directly to each other every week in training about how she's feeling and what her specialists and are explaining to her, and her scans are showing. And just working with her, I've seen a huge importance in meditation, and her scans have shown that there has been growth, and her body is resilient and responding really well, after the surgery. And so it looks like she's in the clear, and she's on, she's very young and on the road to recovery. So she has her youth and resiliency. But since beginning training, after all this time, like we started training, and then the health issue happened, and then she had to go back under surgery because there was fluid in her brain, and it was showing that parts of it were still indented by the tumor because the mass was so big. And then now when she goes in for these scans, since starting, we don't just do personal training, we do half and half with meditation and wellness coaching. And it's just like incredible to hear back from her how well she is feeling, and how positive the feedback has been from her team of specialists who performed surgery on her, just over a year ago.
That's very
So
cool.
that's been my personal experience with it.
Yeah, it's crazy how something like that can just have so much like physical benefits to it. I remember when I first started meditating, I was still working at a clinic, and us and the other med techs, we would take each other's blood pressure like daily, and everybody always wanted to take mine because I was always so high. And it wasn't too high. It was normally like 150 though, over 80 to 90. And once I started meditating and I got on a pretty good streak, literally that was really the only change I'd made too, as far as my daily routine, nutrition, training, all that. and I was consistently in like 130 over 80 something.
Wow.
So yeah.
Mhm.
So we
pretty
can
cool.
make that health claim right here on the 2Fit podcast.
Anecdotally, asterisk, but yeah,
Lowers blood pressure.
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was studying with Sonia Samar in New York, and this was when I was just starting as a yoga teacher, and I wasn't really sold on like the chanting and the ohms and things of that sort. She would have little children, like age 4, each day of our teacher training come in with different needs. And this one child with cerebral palsy, I remember she began like chanting with the child, and he couldn't do things like lift a limb. But then after the chanting, when she would ask him to lift a certain limb and give her his hand, he was able to do it. And after he left, she explained that the importance of chanting and how it sends vibrations to certain parts of the brain that help communicate to the rest of the body. And I was just in complete amazement of this child and what he was capable of after being in a meditative state with Sonia. So I witnessed it to that capacity, and then with my own clients who have overcome, health scares with the brain specifically. So I'm a firm believer, and I've seen it. So it is quite special. And then most recently, I've been working with teenagers experiencing anxiety, and it's just really neat because teenagers, no, that's okay. Teenagers, I would never want to do high school again. It's hard as it is, but especially today with social media and the constant need to stay plugged in and the lack of real connection. I just think anxiety and depression are it's just too high amongst teenagers. But leading them through guided meditations, one very similar that I just led y'all through, it's neat because the feedback from them is just like, one boy, he's about 16 years old, came over to me afterwards. He's like, I felt like I was floating outside my body. I haven't been that relaxed in a really long time. And then another gal who was 17 was like, that's the first time I've been able to take in a full breath. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, I've had anxiety since I was 14. And that was the first time in like 3 years that I was able to take in a long, steady breath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. 14 is way too young to be having that sort of anxiety.
Yeah. But it's here. Yeah. It's very common, especially I think in the area I'm in. It's very high pressure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How'd you get plugged into the school system and doing that?
I teach group classes in the peninsula, and a woman that has been taking my classes for like over 3 years reads my blog and came up to me one day and said, hey, like, let's go grab coffee. And we talked about it, and then she presented it to the board, and they brought me in, and then it kind of led to like 5 or 6 more opportunities to speak to other high school students. So it's really awesome. I wish I had that, or I wish I was exposed to that at that age when I first started experiencing, anxiety and other issues that, didn't allow me to sleep well or ask for help when I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like stoicism and meditation kind of go hand in hand in many ways. And I was just curious if you've read any books out there on stoicism or books you would recommend on stoicism. Like I'm reading one, so I've read Marcus Aurelius Meditations, and then I'm reading Siddhartha. And have you read Siddhartha? So it's about a young boy leaves his family in search for this greater purpose and awakening. And he's always trying to he's meditating, he's fasting and all this stuff. And throughout his journey, before he meets the Buddha, where I don't want to ruin the book, but he then realizes that that's not his path. Anyway, I'm halfway through right now, but you get to a point where this whole first part of the book, he's searching for this journey to like shed the self, as it's called in the book, shed the self, and he's seeking this like divine intervention. And he kind of gets to this part in the book in his journey where it's the awakening, and it's after he's met the Buddha, and he realizes that his awakening is actually discovering that he's in the moment, witnessing the river and the trees, and kind of going back to what we were talking about with the forest bathing. And that his awakening is almost like, it's hard to put into words, but like, I'm here, this is me, this is what's happening around me, and I'm no longer searching for this like higher thing. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people go down this meditation path thinking they're supposed to like discover,
like he's no longer trying to separate from himself, but he's just accepted himself,
and that's become his happiness. Like, he's now present. He's focusing on, and I haven't finished the book.
Yeah, you don't need
like
to now.
60%
You're
through.
welcome.
But you know, the happiness or his awakening has now been because of his awareness of who he is, where he is in the moment.
I like that a
Crickets.
lot.
Okay, cool.
I'm
sorry, I'm rambling there. It's just it's really interesting because the whole first half, he's, like I said, he's meditating. This is his life. You know, he looks at joining these monks and all, you know, everything. And it's all in the search to like shed who he is as a person to find like nirvana or whatever.
Yeah, that's why they call it a practice, brother.
Yeah.
You know, it's a practice.
I don't know if I have any books on Stoicism, but I like that practice. And Sharon Salzberg, as I mentioned, with the meta meditation, she has a book called like Real Love. And it kind of talks about that. Like, we search for happiness and fulfillment in so many different ways, whether that's like in sport, you know, we attach our self-worth to sport or to our work or to our income or to our image. And it's like, only when you really realize that it's like already there, like you don't need things to find that fulfillment. And I don't think it's exactly the same as your book, but it kind of just reminds you that it's internal and it's there. And like Jake said, it's a practice.
Yeah, I think that's really, it's like, it's all about the process, because you think that these goals that you're trying to achieve are what's going to make you happy. That's going to give you that awakening, that fulfillment. But honestly, once you achieve that goal, whether that's a certain amount of money, a certain job, certain physique, whatever it might be, that gratification is just instantaneous and it's fleeting. You know what I mean? Because there's always going to be another goal. You want more money, you want another job, whatever it is. And that's just human nature, you know? And so I think it's just, you find happiness in, like we're talking about with meditation, it's the present moment. It's the process. It's the grind.
Yep.
And accepting that. Okay. I mean, that's
absolutely. I mean, fall in love with the journey, you know?
Yeah.
The little moments. Yeah. Because even if they're not there yet to the goal or that next goal or the 7th goal in line, there's still moments every single day to
and it's not saying don't make goals.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
Cool.
But you don't want to look back when you get to the mountaintop or whatever that goal is and be like, man, I forgot how I got here or what happened down there. Right. Like, you want to enjoy it.
You want to enjoy the journey. And even when it's really hard, you have to find, I think, like when we were talking about it before, and Jake was mentioning how the Buddha was like, yoga is life. It's like, yeah, mindfulness is life in the sense, like, even when you're climbing that mountaintop, you have to take a moment, even if in the hardest climb, to be like, oh man, I'm grateful for something. Because that, you know, that shows mindfulness. And if you don't have 5 minutes to just stop and breathe, on your way to work, you know, like when you're climbing to that next goal of that promotion or that bigger house or the car, like, what are you grateful for today? That could be your meditation of the day. Like, I'm grateful for this car, or I'm grateful that I did not get that promotion because other doors are opening, even though they may not be opening right at that moment. You know, I specifically think gratitude is one of the easiest forms of meditation.
Oh yeah, it totally changes your mindset. I think that's why so many journals and people out there say that's what you need to start with every single day, because it's totally, whatever you're complaining about or whatever, you wake up with the anxiety and the to-do list and whatever's awaiting you that day, and you just have start with some gratitude that you're even thankful that, you know, you wake up in a nice house with a bed. You know, you're not sleeping outside. You're not having to go and hunt and kill your food. You have a smartphone with access to all the information you ever wanted right there at your fingertips. And I mean, yeah, so gratitude just totally changes your mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I like to do. So like your streak of 121 days of like opening your app and meditating. I think I'm
You've
on.
blown that out of the water.
No. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying for me, it's like a daily practice of gratitude. Just naming 3 things before I hit the pillow every night, like 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day.
Nice.
And that just shifts your mindset entirely.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's dive into this meta meditation.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so when you're ready, go ahead and I can't see your feet, but uncross your legs and sit upright again. Yeah, put your hands again beside you on your lap, palms face up. Good. And when you feel ready, close your eyes.
So ready.
And let all the breath go. And take a new breath in. And continue to breathe in slowly. And exhale slowly. And begin to scan your body, starting at the toes, moving to the crown of your head. Noticing any areas of tension or stress. Just acknowledging those spaces, breathing into them. And with your eyes closed, begin to visualize someone you care about very much. It can be someone in the present or someone who has passed. Visualize this loved one. And see this loved one sending you their wishes of love and warm wishes. Begin to feel those feelings of love and kindness. And then with this loved one in mind, on your next breath in, internally repeating, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And again, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And with your eyes closed, begin to visualize another loved one. Sending them the same wishes of love and kindness. Taking a deep breath in, long exhale, internally repeating, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. Begin to notice the torso relax, the shoulders melt down from the ears, and a sense of calm moving throughout your body. And gently bring your attention to self, seeing yourself just as you are in this moment. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And with your eyes closed, repeating, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. And again. Allow those words of love and kindness to soak into every fiber and muscle tissue and cell in the brain, heart, and other organs. And when you feel ready, begin to wiggle your toes and fingers and jaw, eyebrows, and slowly open your eyes. Thanks, guys.
Man.
Thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's been
Might
like
repeat that one later.
the nice thing is, so I have only 3 episodes. I just started my podcast, but they're less than 10 minutes long. And the first episode is that meditation with a nice song in the background. So it's much better than what we just did.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's gonna be hard to beat.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys participated. But that's meta meditation, and that one is awesome. And then, like, if you struggle with like road rage, or like for me, I was just like this angry teenager, and so meta meditation helped me because you take it a step further, and rather than always visualizing people that you love and yourself, you visualize people that get under your skin. Or people that like you really are just like, oh, I do not like this person. And then that kind of changes your heart posture, right? Like, doesn't mean you have to like them, but at least you're protecting your energy and you're not wasting time, like being negative. You're just like, all right, I'm gonna like send this person love and kindness because, it's not only gonna benefit them, but it's gonna, benefit my emotional well-being too.
Yeah, it's definitely more for myself.
Yeah, I've done that one a couple of times in a guided meditation on the app. Yeah. It's a little difficult, because you're trying to think, you're intentionally thinking of someone you don't like, or that you may have had a bad encounter with, that, or maybe you bumped into someone in public, you have no idea who they are, and they were just complete like ass, like can still see his face or whatever, right? Like, yeah.
I don't do it specifically with people like I really, really hate, but I do it with folks that have like maybe have some wrongdoing, or like I've done it after really bad breakups. Like I've visualized exes and been like, send them love and compassion, because it's like done, let go, like stop and just like move on. And I feel like it's really, really helped in that scene of just like letting go and moving forward without, wasting your energy.
Oh yeah. Even just like saying I forgive you without even like actually seeing that person, just saying it like to yourself, like imagine like you already, I mean, you can tell a difference.
Totally. And that shows a lot of growth and maturity, emotional.
Oh, so
growth.
thank you.
Look at you, buddy.
Yeah. So I like that meta meditation.
You get a gold star tonight.
Yeah, it's because those girls that broke my heart too, Josh.
Sure. Yeah, I don't believe him. So, Kate, where can people find the podcast? Because this,
so it is.
I assume you're going to be rolling out some more episodes because these are awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to sharing more. It's meditatewithkate.com. So they're free online on my website. And then you can also find it on iTunes, Meditate with Kate. And then my social media is also meditate_W Kate for like quick tips and guided meditations that you can do in the workplace or on the go.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, we will link to all that in the show notes. Check it out. I know I will be. I already have before, but we will again. And this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoy the work that you all do. So I'm excited to try the supplements. I know
we're going to send you some.
Awesome. Yeah. Increase my iron.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm training. I'm training for my first Spartan, so I need it.
Oh, sweet. Is it in California?
It is. It's in Monterey, California.
Which one are you doing? What like distance?
The super.
Nice.
Okay, which one is that? The 10?
It's 8 to 10
I think
mile.
It's like 8 to 10. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't specifically say, but it's.
That's the right length for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Nervous, but I'm excited.
You'll be fine.
So,
It's fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
You
I'm
got a
looking
group of
forward.
people, or are you just tackling this?
Nope, I
by
have a
yourself?
group of people. Yep, I have a group of people. I have a team that I work with from a studio that I teach at in San Francisco called Epic, and it's like obstacle course training. So they're all pros and have done it many many times. So I'm the newbie trying to keep up with them, but it's been so much fun.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It'll be a blast. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. I'm like nervous, but super excited. I think this is going to be the first of many. Mhm.
So don't you do you do CrossFit?
I don't do CrossFit.
Okay.
No, I mean I have before, like years ago, but I'm not avid on that. It's like rope climbs and monkey bars and kettlebells and more like agility
Mm,
and traditional strength training.
very cool.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'll be sure to post on my social media.
For sure.
Right on.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again so much for having me. I'm so glad that we finally synced up
I
Synced
know,
up.
me
Yep.
too. It's about
and
time.
Yeah, same here.
appreciate y'all staying late.
We enjoyed it.
Thank
No, not
you.
at all. This is fun.